Big yo to everyone, I'm Gamesty, and in this video I'm going to be letting you in on 50 tips for Cult of the Land that you need to use in your game. And be sure to stick around because I snuck in the best tips somewhere into this video as a bonus. Tip number 1, combat room modifiers. Every now and again in the dungeon map there will be combat room modifiers which can have a big impact on how you play the game. I won't go through them all here, but learn what the different modifiers do and take them into consideration when choosing a path through the dungeon. Tip number 2, the extra tarot card. You'll get one for free when you visit Clonic, but did you know if you go over here, you can spend coins and gain another tarot card which can give you the boost in power you need to get through a dungeon. Tip number 3, use the sacrifice ritual. I don't want to see my little dudes go either, but the sacrifice ritual generates points towards crown upgrade, so use it to achieve higher tiers of weapons and curses before delving deeper into dungeons. Tip number 4, always collect devotion. If you're heading out of your base, collect any devotion that's been accumulated, even if you collected it when you last got back to your base, because your shrine will fill up quicker than you can return. Tip number 5, when to do crusades. Choosing when to go out on a crusade can be challenging, but if you've done your daily tasks, you should be good to head out. Tip number 6, take the resurrection ritual. Just take this ritual. You don't want to see your little dudes go, and neither do I. With this ritual, they can stay in your service for, well, forever. Tip number 7, take ritual fast. This ritual is an amazing choice, and you can see why here. Just take it. Number 8, do rituals when they come off cooldown. There isn't always a need to do a ritual, but you will have the bones to do them, and if they are a particularly powerful ritual like the two we just talked about, there is no reason not to do them or any other rituals that will offset faith cost when they come off cooldown. Tip number 9, do your sermon after your rituals. You can wait until after you do your rituals that reduce faith and then do your sermon because that generates faith and it can offset those costs. Number 10, do follower quests. Getting higher level followers is great, so make sure you do your followers quests as you're rewarded with a lot of loyalty for doing so. Number 11, gather resources from economy buildings. This is self-explanatory, but I know I have forgotten to go to my economy buildings to actually gather resources generated, and I just don't want you to suffer the same fate. Tip number 12, put the outhouse by the fertilizer bin. Keeping up with the theme of maintaining your base, having your outhouse near your fertilizer bin will remind you to fill the bin whenever you empty an outhouse. Tip 13, assign followers to beds near their work. You can assign followers to beds, so assign them to beds near where they will be working to reduce lag time between waking up and going to work. Number 14, upgrade broken beds. Speaking of beds, getting shelters better than the bedroll will help you save time in your base since you will repair them less often, but you can also save yourself resources by upgrading beds that need to be repaired instead of using the resources to repair them. Tip 15, assign followers to work based on their traits. Match up your followers' traits with what they should be working, such as faithful set to pray. Tip number 16, assign followers when indoctrinating. Checking follower traits when they first arrive in your camp is the easiest, and assigning them appropriately will save you from doing this in the future. Number 17, interact when you have to. If you are strapped for time, or trying to progress through the game, keeping up with your followers can be tedious. So, if you ever find yourself interacting with them, such as starting or ending a quest, take a moment to go through the motions of doing actions like Inspire, since you are already interacting with them. Number 18, give flower necklace to faithful followers. These next few are going to be about min-maxing the necklaces. Faithful followers generate more faith, and the flower necklace generates more faith, so optimizing this early will generate more devotion, especially between delves into dungeons. Number 19, give Nature's Necklace to farmers and economy building followers. Another small optimization, but setting this up early pays off immensely as your cult grows, and having these followers with the Nature's Necklace will make sure you are getting resources early. Tip number 20, give the Feather Necklace to janitors or loyalty enforcers. These followers will be doing the most running around your base, so it only makes sense that you should speed up their movement. Give them that necklace. Number 21, give the Skull Necklace to high-level followers. Possibly a personal preference, but having high-level followers live longer allows you to continue leveling them up since it becomes more difficult the higher level they are, and you will be able to keep bringing them into dungeons as demons on your runs. Tip 22, give the moon necklace to consecrators. Having at least one follower with a moon necklace who's focused on consecrating resources will allow you to continue the process through the night, and stockpiling these resources is key mid to late game. Tip number 23, always stockpile resources. Even if you do not have any of the buildings that require tier 2 resources, throw some raw resources into the bench regularly so they're consecrated. You'll be able to build the new buildings as soon as you unlock them. Tip number 24, offering station placement. I talked about the offering station in my short here, but the placement is also key. Throughout the day, your followers will go to make their offerings, but I find placing these near the chapel will encourage them to make their offerings after a sermon, since they will be near them, and it saves them time on moving between their primary job and coming here. Tip number 25, confession booth. I underrated this building initially, just like I did the offering station, but the confession booth increases follower loyalty like crazy, and it will get them to a high level quickly. Use it. And on that note, tip number 26, daily confession. You can do a confession once a day, and you should add it to your list of daily tasks so you never miss out on the opportunity. Tip 27, Grand Shelters. Everything else in the game that collects devotion requires you to hold a key and stand within range to gather it. Except the Grand Shelters, you can hit the button and move on and the devotion will be collected. This is huge and it makes them one of the best ways to get devotion outside of your shrine. Tip 28, make sure that you have enough resources to build new economy buildings. Keep enough raw resources to be able to build at least one new lumber or stone camp. That way you never find yourself in a position without one. Running out of the base resources can be a pain, and you do not want to find yourself in that position. Number 30, use the Missonary. The Missonary building is great for getting resources, and I find it particularly useful for getting meat. Use it whenever you can, and make sure you talk to your followers whenever they come back to gather resources and get the next trip started. Number 31, critters. Speaking of meat, there are critters running around your base at night that you can catch for morsels, which can help you put out better quality dishes early on, and it's worth doing. Tip number 32, this guy. This little guy is running around Smuggler's Sanctuary, and you can catch it like any other critter. Do so for a reward. Tip number 33, Snail Totems. These snail statues are scattered around the explorable areas on the map, and you can offer them a snail shell. Find them all for a reward. Tip 34, this symbol. Find these symbols in explorable areas to get tasks from this strange friend. Complete them for holy talisman fragments and other rewards. Number 35, removing overgrowth in base. Every now and again, overgrowth can take over plain tiles in your base and obscure your view. You can place down pathing to remove this overgrowth, making it easier to see, and if you want to keep the plain tile underneath, you can remove the pathing and the overgrowth will stay removed. Tip 36, placement of graves. I noticed that followers grieve when they first wake up, so if you have the doctrine that has graves unlocked, place graves near your shelters to optimize follower pathing. Tip number 37, always use best quality foods. Not only are these good for your followers, but the highest quality foods are the best way to passively raise loyalty. They are worth it. Do not ignore them. As promised, here's that hidden bonus tip. Subscribe. For real though, bring a heart demon to a healing room. If you do, Ratu will ask you to give them to him. If you agree, you sacrifice that follower. However, you gain a permanent half a heart. I recommend you do this. Tip number 38, cooking higher quality foods. Speaking of those higher quality foods, they are more difficult to cook. It's nothing big, but it is something to keep in mind so you don't accidentally burn them. Tip number 39, the hunger. If you have this unlocked, make sure you always eat something before going on a crusade. That extra temporary heart can make or break a run. Tip number 40, Omnipresence. If you use this, you will lose 15% of all of your resources that you have earned on that crusade, which can be better than what you would lose if you were martyred. Number 41, check the follower cellar. The follower cellar near the entrance of Silk Cradle will have followers, which can occasionally be expensive, but it's always worth checking because sometimes they have followers that are completely free. Tip number 42, the seed guy. This little dude over here will have seeds for sale, and while they're expensive, it's better to have crops growing than not, so buy them if you're out. Number 43, explore places on the map. There's secrets everywhere, and it's totally worth it to go around and find what you can. Tip number 44, take as many demons with you if you can. This might be a no-brainer, but if you have a tier 2 summoning circle, don't just bring a single demon. Take 2, they'll help you. Tip 45, crit ready. When you have a merciless weapon, you'll hear a noise and see that star pop up indicating your next attack will be a critical hit. Use this knowledge to your advantage. Tip 46, harvest followers at night. Just like murder, your followers won't know that you're treating the dead like this. Tip 47, sacrifice your loved ones. That's right, having a few followers available to sacrifice might make or break a run, and sacrificing a married follower gives you bonus temporary hearts. It's worth it. Tip 48, speed up time. There are always things to do in Cult of the Lamb, so you should make the most of your time, but that said, if you're waiting to do daily tasks, you can speed up time. Tip 49, send sick followers to bed. If a follower is sick, send them to get bed rest. Don't let them walk around your base and get the rest of your followers sick. Tip 50, put dissenters in prison. If someone is dissenting, you need to imprison them ASAP. It's not their fault, they can be re-educated. If anything in this video was helpful, let me know. Seeing you guys interact with this sort of content means the world to me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.